Absolutely. Coming back to you again here, Dalton. Number 10 to the Bengals. Unfortunately, you gave Caleb Downs to my Saints. Who are you going to go with here at the 10th pick?
For me, the Bengals pick here in general has been best player available. Could they surprise us maybe with a third option at receiver, which I've always thought was missing in their offense? Sure. If for any reason, and he won't, Jeremiah Love got to 10, I would really think about it. But I'm going to take the top guy on your board there in Ruben Bain Jr. I think he's well deserving of a top 10 pick. I know the short arms. I understand the outlier, but this guy wasn't just a one-year wonder dominating this past year at Miami. For all 3 years of his college career, he was just outstanding. I actually have him as the top edge player in this draft on my board. And the difference between him and David Bailey, pass rushers, you could debate Bailey if you want to debate him a little better, fine. Ruben Bain, when you break down the tape and how they used him at Miami, he was a cheat code in their run defense, right? When you talk about getting in bigger fronts and playing him a little bit inside the tackle or over the tackle, right? And the ability that he has, and his lower body is just so darn strong, and he knows what he's doing out there. Bain and his teammate Akeem Mesidor, two of the most well-coached players in the country, right? Jason Taylor, the former Dolphins legend, is their defensive line coach down there. He did such a great job putting every bit of polish on these guys that he could, right? You talk about knowledgeable pass rushers, strong run defenders, guys that hold the edge, guys that can move inside and play in different techniques. I love Ruben Bain, man. And I know the traits, the Bengals usually draft more so on traits. You saw it last year with Shamar Stewart, another edge defender. But losing Trey Hendrickson, they still have a need all across the defensive line. I think Bain would be a great pick for him at 10. He would really change the scope of their pass rush, especially.
They got to keep swinging, right? Until you get the right edge rusher out there that's actually going to do some damage for you. I understand the rationale on it. My question for you, Dalton, is how big of a deal is this short arms thing? I feel like that's all that anybody wants to talk about with Ruben Bain anymore. Do teams really care, or does that just mean that he's off the board for certain teams and not other teams? Or, how much of an impact is this actually going to have when we get to draft day?
I think they care to an extent because it's always, the tough part and why there's so many draft scouts in the community now is to study how guys' game will translate to the NFL, right? Because you can dominate physically in a way in college that you can't do consistently in the NFL unless your name is Myles Garrett and he's the freak of all freaks, right? So I think with Bain, is it maybe a little bit of a concern if you're unsure? But, as with any of some of those outlier guys, there's a few of them in this draft I absolutely love. You still have to watch the tape and you go. And one thing I always like to say, I don't want to say sarcastically, but he's been playing with those arms his whole life. Right. So, I mean, you talk about a guy who understands how to overcome it. If it was just overcoming it because he's faster or he's just stronger than everybody across from him, sure. But again, I go back to the part where he's so well taught and he understands how to use his leverage, how to use what length that he has to attack the right spot on the offensive lineman's chest or to one shoulder or to use his lower body as the base of his attack. So I really think he's a guy who's, again, well deserving of a top 10 pick. Yes, it's a bit of an outlier. Yes, maybe there's a lot of the community that if he busts in the NFL, they're going to go, see, this is why we don't do this. But, we heard this a lot with Will Campbell last year, 4th overall pick, and the Patriots made the Super Bowl with him as a at least solid left tackle. I'm confident that Bain can overcome it. I know, again, you wouldn't say that with every guy. You wouldn't say that with maybe a 5th-round pick, but this guy's special, man. He's been a special talent for 3 years at Miami, and he's so well coached. I think he can overcome it.
I think he's going to be Defensive Rookie of the Year, man. I think he's going to be completely amazing when he gets to the pro level. And I think everyone is discounting him right now because of the short arms, because of all the narratives we're hearing. But like the outliers are the ones that, that do it differently. It's like disruptive innovation in the investing world. If you're doing something differently, you got an offensive lineman that's taught to block a certain way or expect a certain rush from an edge rusher. This is breaking the mold of what is expected and consistent. I'm kind of excited to see what he's going to do, man. Even short arms or not. I mean, like you say, he's been doing it his whole life. You can't argue that he's one of the best edge rushers in college football last year, and you can put him on the Bengals. Finally, Cincinnati would be cheering. Finally, we get an edge rusher that's very productive for him. Pretty excited to see Bain there at number 10.